Help support the show by joining the Patreon or becoming a YouTube member. Also, hit that like button and subscribe if you want more Browns-focused content. Hey, what's up, and welcome to QnA, the show where I take your questions and answer them here in video format. Ton of questions to answer today, so let's just jump into it. Brutus Brown says, do you know if the Browns have or will get an insurance cap relief hit for JOK? All season we talk about Deshaun Watson, but since JOK was out too, the Browns should get cap relief on his number available. Haven't heard anybody talk about it. I have heard Pete Smith bring this up, and he seems to be very confident that there is going to be an insurance cap relief for JOK. I don't know what that number is going to be. Obviously, it's not as widely reported as Deshaun Watson, but I do believe that there is an insurance cap relief for JOK. And I believe that that will be happening for the Browns. And, you know, Deshaun Watson's not going to play this year, so they're going to get that insurance cap relief too. So, yeah, there are cap reliefs happening there. Also, the Browns are going to restructure some contracts, move some money down the line. They'll have some money to spend in free agency this year. Akalon says this, how much do you think the Browns will be giving up for a QB if they end up outside of the top two? I think they'll try to trade Shador, and if so, they'll bring in a vet, or will Dillon be the backup? Okay, do I think they would try to trade Shador? So this is really two questions in one. So to answer that first question, right, what would the Browns have to give up in a trade? I have here a list of trades made for quarterbacks. There is one trade here that was to move up one spot. I'm trying to see here. Was it Kansas City, Buffalo? So Pat Mahomes, to get Pat Mahomes was what? Kansas City gave up a first, a third, and a 2018 first to Buffalo. To move up 5 spots in 2018, the Arizona Cardinals gave up a first, a third, and a fifth to Oakland. So I think the price would probably be, if the Browns were in the top 5, I think the price would probably be something similar to the Josh Allen price. Buffalo went from 12th to 7th in this trade with Tampa Bay and Buffalo. And Buffalo gave up a first in 2 seconds. So I think it would act for the Browns, it would probably be somewhere around the neighborhood of like a first, a second. I mean, not a first, their first round picks. So they're going to swap first round picks. And then the Jacksonville first, and then probably next year's second. I think that would probably do it and be the price tag that it would cost them to move up. So you would be giving up an extra first and a second for a quarterback. And I think they would do that or do something along those lines. The next question comes from B. Westy. Says this, what is a reasonable expectation for next year based off of the offseason plans? Look at this point, Barry has a control, a new head coach, probably draft more at 2, and hopefully they fill in some pieces at wide receiver and O-line. I think they will be a very exciting offense that's very young, that's anchored by that defense. So I would say this, they would be so young on offense that I don't know if you can expect them to have like a miracle run and go 14 wins or something like that. But I do think they'll be a good enough team, or the expectation next year should be that they should be a good enough team that come December, we feel like we had a realistic chance to make the playoffs. Whether you make the playoffs or not, I'm not sure. Again, young teams, things can swing different ways, but you should feel in December this team has a real shot to make the playoffs, a puncher's chance, right? Like not like we're technically still alive because the division is weak, so we can be under 500 and make it. but like a legitimate, we can finish with 9 or 10 wins and make the playoffs. You know, like if we take care of business, we can make the playoffs type situation. Like that's what I want the vibe around next year to be. Is maybe they make the playoffs, maybe they don't. They're a young team. We're seeing their promise, but they are playing meaningful December football. Josh Myers says, if we fall out the top 2 spots in the draft, do you think they trade up to get a quarterback if they're in the top 5? I mean, the whole goal of trading down last year was to get assets to get a QB this year. Yeah, I think people are really underestimating that, right? Like if the Browns, realistically, let's just think this out, right? If the Browns think highly enough of these 2 quarterbacks to take them in the top 5, then they almost certainly think highly enough of these 2 quarterbacks to trade up for them. Right? Like that's just what it is. You trade up for quarterbacks you're willing to draft in the top 5. The reason you're willing to draft them in the top 5 is you think they're a franchise quarterback. And name me a franchise quarterback that you wouldn't be willing to trade for right now. You know what I mean? It's easy to like say the prospect's name, be like, I don't know if I would trade up this and that for him, but let's say like, if they're what they're being comped to, right? Like Dante Moore's being comped to CJ Stroud. Would you trade a first? Would you swap a first? The Jacksonville first and next year's second for CJ Stroud? I certainly would, right? What about for Matt Ryan in his prime? Yeah, I would definitely do that. So that's what I'm saying. Like if these quarterbacks end up being who the team hopes they could become, they're going to be much, much more expensive to try to get later. So this is actually still the cheapest point to go up and try to trade up and get them. So yeah, I think that if they're interested in taking any of these guys in the top 5, that also means they're interested in trading up. The question is there going to be an opportunity? Who's going to have those picks? And will there be an opportunity there? That's the question. 5'9" Big Walt says, hey Q, is there a true NFL left tackle for the Browns in this upcoming draft, or are we planning to outsmart ourselves once more with picks? We're not sure about the quarterback. Here's the fascinating thing about the quarterback discourse. I think that trying to take a left tackle at number 2 or 3 in this year's draft class is a bigger reach than taking a quarterback at number 2 or 3 in this draft class. I think that trying to take a wide receiver is like, I don't know. Like I like Carnell Tate a lot, but is Carnell Tate going to become like Justin Jefferson in the way that you would need him to become Justin Jefferson? I don't know. I'm a bit nervous about that, right? So to me, it feels like if you want to go and use the picks on offense, the best bang for your buck this year is quarterback. Those are the guys who will be at the top 5 of the big boards, probably at the top 5 in the top part of the offensive big board. And it's like, people are like, oh, we'll get a tackle. If there was a tackle that was like Joe Thomas coming out this year, maybe I'd be willing to hear that argument. But the reality is the tackles coming out this year aren't as good as tackle prospects as the quarterbacks are quarterback prospects. So that's what's been strange to me, is hearing people yell for offensive line. It's a weak tackle class. And realistically, you would be reaching for a tackle at 3, right? Whereas with quarterback, you wouldn't be reaching. So, that's been the fascinating part for me. Maybe people haven't caught up to what this class is and doesn't have. But yeah, it's the way people talk about it. You would swear that like Joe Thomas Jr. is in this class or something like that. And again, if there was like a Joe Thomas clone in this class, maybe we could have that a more serious conversation about whether you take a quarterback or you take a lineman here. But the best offensive prospects in this draft class, especially the ones worthy of a top 5 pick, they're quarterbacks, So it's interesting how people have kind of just like automatically defaulted to certain like tape. Real quick, got to thank my sponsor, Sleeper. Real quick, just want to let you guys know Sleeper has a new offer here. They're offering a free $20 entry, no deposit required. And also, if you're a first-time user, you also will receive a 100% match on up to $100 when you use the promo code WORSTTAKE. Again, $20 free, no deposit required. Plus, first-time users also receive 100% deposit match up to $100. Join Sleeper. All right, so Darnell C says this: do we think that Mendoza or Moore have the upside of Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold? Or insert top 15 QB here. If not, we need to trade back. You can get Mac Jones or Jacoby Brissett in one of these prospects with a low ceiling projection. As much as folks love Baker, he's still throwing interceptions when you need TDs. Just my thoughts, wondered where you were. So yeah, I think that Mendoza and Moore both have the upside to be top 15 quarterbacks. I think the common comp with Mendoza is going to end up being Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan was a borderline top 5 quarterback of his era, somebody who could have a breakout season and win the MVP, somebody who was consistently doing stuff at the top level, right? Like a consistent top 10 performer at the position. Dante Moore's comp has been CJ Stroud, who again lives at that borderline top 5 quarterback conversation, somebody who can scratch that MVP conversation in the right year, right? Another guy, just if you want to know where that realm is, Ben Roethlisberger lived in that same realm for a very long time in Pittsburgh. So that's kind of where I think those guys' ceilings could end up being if they, get the right outcomes in their career. Obviously, nothing's a guarantee with prospects, but yeah, if you're asking me what I think that their ceiling is like, I don't know. Like Mendoza's interesting because he's so clutch that might kind of like sneak him into a top 5 in the same way that it has with like a Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's traits aren't elite like Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes or anything like that, or Lamar Jackson. But because Joe Burrow is so clutch and consistent, he just kind of ends up being in that top 5. Mendoza's the interesting one to me because he has just demonstrated in gotta have it situations. He tends to be special. And if you do that enough, then yeah, you do end up in that category. Dante Moore to me is a little bit more straightforward. I don't know if he has that same kind of gene that Mendoza has. He's not bad in the clutch at all. It's just Mendoza has a longer track record of it. And that's the thing that I think is a little intriguing, where it's like, hey, if he demonstrates this over a long period of time and he's putting up good numbers, then that's going to be something that's going to elevate him past that like perennial borderline top 5 conversation. But then that's a trait that's very unique to Fernando Mendoza. So yeah, that's where I'm thinking. I definitely think that they could be better than Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield, though. Hey, Nice says, do you think the Browns beat the Steelers because they've hit their 9-win quota already? I don't know why people do this with Pittsburgh, but you guys do know that Pittsburgh almost never just wins 9 games, right? Like they win like 10 games or 11 games most of the time. They almost never end up with 9 wins. That being said, if you want to know my opinion about how that game's going to go, I dropped the preview about it on Friday, so go ahead and check that out. But y'all have a great day. Have an even better night. Peace.